The morning after my husband's funeral, I woke before sunrise because my body had forgotten how to sleep. The house was painfully orderly. Every sympathy card sat where neighbors had placed it. The flowers still carried that sweet scent that somehow made grief feel heavier instead of softer. His reading glasses remained on the kitchen counter, exactly where he'd left them 3 weeks earlier. I picked them up. Then I put them back. It was the first decision I'd made all morning. By noon, I almost called my sister to say I couldn't come to her son's first birthday party. Almost. She had insisted that canceling would only isolate me. "You need to be around family," she'd said. Those words sounded comforting then. Looking back, I think she'd already rehearsed them. The drive took 30 minutes. I remember very little about it except stopping at a red light and realizing I couldn't remember whether I'd eaten breakfast. Grief does strange things. It steals ordinary thoughts first. When I arrived, balloons covered the front yard. Children laughed somewhere behind the house. Music drifted through open windows. For a moment, I wondered if I'd come to the wrong address. How could the world celebrate while mine had simply stopped? My sister Lauren hugged me tightly, too tightly. "I'm so glad you came." She held my shoulders for an extra second, studying my face as though checking whether I was fragile enough. "I wasn't sure," I admitted. "You did the right thing." Maybe she just needed an audience. Inside, relatives greeted me with careful voices. "I'm so sorry. He was such a wonderful man. We've been praying for you." I thanked each of them, then I noticed something odd. Conversations kept ending when I approached. My aunt looked away unusually fast. My cousin avoided eye contact altogether. Near the dining room sat a brown document folder. Lauren glanced toward it twice in less than 5 minutes. I assumed it contained birthday decorations. I was wrong. My husband, Daniel, had been the practical one, even after his diagnosis. He worried less about dying than about leaving unfinished paperwork, bills, insurance, medical directives, estate planning. "I don't want you solving legal puzzles while you're grieving." He'd told me during one appointment. I laughed back then. "You're impossible." "No," he smiled. "I'm organized." He was painfully organized. At the time I thought it was excessive. Now I understood. Someone brought out the birthday cake. Everyone gathered around. The baby smashed frosting into his own face while cameras flashed. People laughed. For 1 minute, everything felt almost normal. Then Lauren cleared her throat. "I actually have something important to share." The room quieted. She stood beside the high chair with one hand resting on her son's shoulder. Her expression wasn't nervous. It was prepared. I didn't want to say this before Daniel's funeral. My stomach tightened. But everyone deserves the truth. Nobody moved. She looked directly at me. "My son is Daniel's biological child." Silence. Complete silence. I kept it secret because the timing was complicated. Someone gasped. Lauren continued. "As his mother, I have to protect my son. Daniel intended to provide for him." She reached into the brown folder. "And according to his will, my child is entitled to half of Daniel's estate." She held up several papers, "which means half of your $800,000 house belongs to him." No one spoke. Every eye landed on me, waiting, watching, expecting tears, shock, anger. Instead, I looked at the papers, then at Lauren, and something happened that surprised even me. I almost laughed. Not because anything was funny, because one tiny detail told me everything. I pressed my lips together. "Oh," I said quietly. "I see." Lauren mistook my calm for surrender. "I know this is difficult." She spoke gently now, almost generously. "But children shouldn't suffer because adults make complicated choices." Several relatives nodded uncertainly. Someone whispered that a DNA test would settle everything. Another relative quietly asked whether lawyers were already involved. Lauren answered before I could. "They will be." She sounded remarkably confident. Too confident. I remembered a Tuesday afternoon 18 months earlier. Daniel and I sat inside our estate attorney's office. He had insisted on reviewing every document after beginning another round of treatment. If anything changes, he told the attorney, I want the newest documents to be the only ones that matter. The attorney nodded. We'll formally revoke every prior version. Daniel signed. Dishield signed again. 2 witnesses observed everything. I remember complaining afterward. Couldn't this wait? He squeezed my hand. It could, but then you'd have unnecessary problems. Standing inside Lauren's living room, I stared at the papers again. They looked convincing, except the signature page belonged to a draft I'd seen years before, not the executed version. Even the formatting was outdated. She didn't know that. Apparently, neither did whoever helped her. I still said nothing. Confidence grows quickly when nobody argues. Lauren kept talking. Obviously, I don't want conflict. Of course. I just want fairness. Naturally. My son deserves recognition. She almost sounded rehearsed. The conversation shifted away from birthdays. Guests discussed inheritance law, paternity, court proceedings. As though my husband had become a financial case study less than 24 hours after we buried him, I felt strangely detached, not numb, just outside it all. Then the doorbell rang. Nobody answered immediately. Lauren frowned. One of her friends opened the front door. A man in a dark suit stepped inside carrying a slim leather portfolio. I recognized him instantly. So sorry to interrupt, he said calmly. I'm looking for Mrs. Harper. That was me, he approached politely. My apologies for the timing. Then he looked around the room. I understand family has gathered. Lauren's confidence flickered. Who are you? He handed over a business card. I'm Michael Reeves, estate counsel for the late Daniel Harper. Everything changed. Daniel had asked Michael to deliver one final sealed letter after the funeral. Not before, after. He believed people deserved privacy while mourning. Michael had called that morning. I'd forgotten. In all the chaos, I'd forgotten. I'm sorry, I said. I completely lost track. No apology necessary. He noticed the papers Lauren still held. His expression remained professional. I couldn't help overhearing the discussion. Nobody interrupted him. Lauren lifted her chin. We're reviewing Daniel's will. Michael looked at the pages, only briefly, then he smiled with remarkable restraint. I'm afraid, he paused carefully. That document has no legal effect. The room became perfectly still. Lauren frowned. What? It was formally revoked. He opened his portfolio. The final executed estate plan replaced every earlier draft several months before Mr. Harper's passing. He removed certified copies. Witness dated, recorded. These are the operative documents. Lauren's face drained of color. That's impossible. No, Michael answered gently. It's routine. She recovered quickly. Fine. My son is still Daniel's child. Michael didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked toward me. I nodded once. He understood. There is another matter. His voice became even quieter. Ordinarily, this information would remain permanently confidential. He hesitated. But allegations of paternity unfortunately require context. He removed one sealed medical authorization. Mr. Harper specifically instructed that these records be disclosed only if false inheritance claims were made. Lauren stared at him, confused. Michael continued. During the period in which conception is alleged to have occurred, he stopped for only a moment. Mr. Harper had already undergone medical treatment that left him medically incapable of biological conception without previously preserved reproductive material. Silence. He chose not to preserve any. Nobody breathed. The medical timeline is fully documented. He closed the file. That information remained private because Mr. Harper considered it deeply personal. No one looked at Lauren. No one needed to. The room seemed to shrink. Lauren opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. There has to be some mistake, Michael answered kindly. There isn't. I finally spoke, only once. I wasn't laughing at you. Everyone turned toward me. I was remembering how obsessively careful Daniel became after he got sick. I looked at the certified documents. He planned for problems I never imagined. My voice nearly broke. I just never imagined one of them would come from family. Nobody applauded. Nobody celebrated. There was no dramatic confession, no shouting, just silence, heavy, uncomfortable, permanent. One by one, guests quietly gathered their coats. The birthday decorations suddenly looked painfully out of place. Children kept playing in the backyard, unaware that the adults inside had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I left before sunset. Michael walked me to my car. I'm sorry you had to hear those medical details today. So am I. He hoped you never would. I looked at the house behind us. So did I. Several weeks later, the estate closed exactly as Daniel intended. No lawsuit was ever filed, no legitimate claim existed. Some relatives called to apologize, others never contacted me again. Lauren sent one brief message, not an apology, just a request to move forward. I never answered, not because I hated her, because I finally understood that forgiveness and access are not the same thing. People sometimes assume the hardest part was defending my home. It wasn't. The house was never truly in danger. Daniel had made sure of that. The hardest part was realizing someone could watch me bury my husband, wait one day, then try to turn my grief into an opportunity. I still live in the same house. His reading glasses are no longer on the kitchen counter. They're in the drawer beside his favorite chair. Some evenings I open that drawer for no reason except memory. The house isn't valuable because it's worth $800,000. It's valuable because every careful decision Daniel made inside these walls was one final act of love, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet enough that the truth was waiting long before anyone tried to rewrite it.